All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, there are rumors circulating that quarterback Anthony Richardson will be looking for the Indianapolis Colts to trade him. The Colts, of course, selected Richardson fourth overall in the 2023 NFL draft, but it has not worked out for him so far in Indy. In three NFL seasons, Richardson has only made 15 starts while throwing 11 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, and he has a completion percentage just north of 50%. So last offseason, of course, we know that the Colts signed former New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. And of course, Jones was expected to come in and compete during training camp and possibly push Richardson. Not only did Jones show up and compete, he became the Colts starting quarterback coming out of camp. And with Jones as their starter, we know that the Colts began this past season with a record of 8-2 before dropping their final seven, and of course missing the playoffs. And during that stretch, we saw Jones unfortunately suffer an Achilles injury in the Week 14 loss to Jacksonville, and of course Indy never recovered. But even now, as Daniel Jones is recovering from Achilles surgery, the Colts do appear to be ready to go forward with him as their starting quarterback, which also includes them potentially giving him a multi-year deal. And if that's going to be the case, it all but spells the end of Anthony Richardson's tenure with Indianapolis. And of course, if the Colts and Richardson are ready to move on from one another, to me, I feel like he can land on his feet with another team, but I feel like it's going to be have to be the right situation, and it's going to be someplace where he's going to have to humble himself. And the reason why I'm using the word humble is due to the fact that Anthony Richardson came into the NFL very raw. Okay, we're talking about a guy who collegiately only made 13 starts in 3 years at Florida. I really felt Richardson needed more time in school, but of course, he had the potential to be a top five pick due to his athleticism. And of course, he went fourth overall. I still feel there's a lot that Richardson needs to learn at the quarterback position in the NFL in order to be successful. And I don't think it would be the worst thing for him going someplace else and being a backup. Now, some people might hear that and say, well, you know what? He can be a backup quarterback in Indianapolis. Very true. But I think he needs to go someplace with one of those quote unquote quarterback whisperers, somebody who knows how to maximize somebody's talent, somebody who knows how their ins and outs and really knows how to get the best and get the most out of their quarterbacks. He's not going to get that with the Indianapolis Colts, especially when you have a situation right now where your GM Chris Ballard and your head coach Shane Steichen, they're basically their jobs are on the line for 2026. With that said, they don't have the time to sit back and wonder if or if not Anthony Richardson is going to be the guy for them. They need to go out there with the best people possible, especially at quarterback position. And I think at this point, I think it's best for both all parties involved if the Colts and Richardson do go in different directions. With that said, okay, which teams to me would make the most sense for Anthony Richardson next year? One team I'm going to put at the top of the list, I've got to say the Los Angeles Rams. And the reason is we know about Sean McVay, the Rams head coach, and his potential or his ability rather to go out there and get the most out of his quarterbacks. And I'm not going to say Sean McVay knows how to go out there and find a diamond in the rough, but he's a great teacher of the position, and he's a great preparer of quarterbacks. And I think Richardson could really benefit from that scenario. You would go to the Rams. You're not going to be the starter because they have Matthew Stafford, but you can be the heir apparent because, of course, how many more years does Matthew Stafford have of playing quarterback in the National Football League? That could be a possibility right there. We've only seen Richardson in his NFL career complete about 50% of his passes, but One thing I do know about Anthony Richardson, he can make the 50 or 60-yard pass look very easy. It's a 5-yard screen pass or a 10-yard slant that could sometimes be troublesome for him. I think, again, he just needs to go someplace where he can learn to prepare better, learn to be more of a student of the game. Teams like a Kansas City with an Andy Reid, obviously, he's not going to push a Patrick Mahomes to be a starting quarterback there, but it's something where a place where he can go and learn. Also, I'm going to throw this team out there. I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers is due to the fact that what if, and this is hypothetically speaking, what if Aaron Rodgers does decide to come back next year and play for Mike McCarthy? Could an Anthony Richardson just sit there on the bench and learn? Okay, I'm just throwing those teams out there. I think there are going to be other teams that are going to be interested for Anthony Richardson because I got the feeling that you're going to get him on the cheap. He's still on his rookie deal. Of course, the Colts took him fourth overall. Nobody is giving up a first round pick for Anthony Richardson. Nobody's probably going to give up a second or third round pick for Anthony Richardson either. He's going to be on the market. I think clearly there's going to be some other quarterbacks who are going to be on the market as you got some veteran quarterbacks around the league who are going to be released. It's all about that first domino falling, and Anthony Richardson will uh, be somebody that teams will want. Why? Because you look at the first round quarterbacks coming out in this year's draft, and after Fernando Mendoza, who's probably going to go first overall to the Raiders, it could be slim pickings. So he will have another home out there if the time has come for the Indianapolis Colts and him to move on. And honestly, I feel like that time is now. It's one of those again, excuse me, every year, regardless of the position, with the NFL draft, we always see guys, move up the draft board. Sometimes guys are overslotted, might be a little bit overrated. It's one of those, of course. Anthony Richardson was the third quarterback taken in that draft. Of course, Bryce Young went first. Excuse me, to Carolina. CJ Stroud went second in Houston. We didn't see another quarterback after Richardson go in round number one. Will Levis was the first pick of the second round. And then, of course, the next pick was Hendon Hooker. Not a strong quarterback class. Uh, but it's one of those for Richardson. I feel like, you know what? He went to a scenario where he got thrown into the fire very early. And I'm not putting this all on the organization. I'm going to put some of this on Anthony Richardson as well, but mainly the organization. It's one of those where he wasn't ready. Okay. And again, like I said, the tools are there athletically. You've just got to get it all on the same page for him to be a quarterback. And I think in the right situation, it can work for him. This young man's only 23 years old. He's going to be 24 in May. So there's still plenty of time and he still has a potential. He just needs to be in the right situation. It hasn't worked out for him in Indianapolis for a variety of reasons. Okay. It's one of those where, like I said, I think he could go someplace else and benefit behind a veteran quarterback, behind, a quarterback whisperer, if you will, as his offensive coordinator or his head coach, you name it. Learn to be a better preparer of the position, you name it, this, that, and the third. But like I said, I'm not going to give up on him because he still has the potential. He's still very young, and he just needs to find himself a better fit. But I think at this point, the time has come for the Colts and Anthony Richardson to go in different directions. They're going forward with Daniel Jones. The team did rally around him last year. The team believes in Daniel Jones. Did not work out for Anthony Richardson there, but we have seen it so many times. Look at Daniel Jones as an example. Sometimes it doesn't work out for a quarterback in their first situation. Sometimes they need to go someplace else, be around some other folks, and it just clicks. And of course, we've seen some quarterbacks go on to have solid NFL careers. I think Anthony Richardson still has a potential for that. I'm just interested to see where his next NFL home is going to be. But like I said, time has come for the Colts and Anthony Richardson to go in different directions. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.